adventures. And she could get around and she did her own thing, but it wasn't easy. But one time she called and I knew what she wanted and I dreaded it. She said, I want to go to my brother's 60th wedding anniversary and I want you to take me. It was in Reno. So I thought, she's no shape for a trip like that. But all too often, what we do is we think older people are too fragile to make the trip. What we're really scared of is something happening on the trip that we have to deal with. Right? There was an old man at the Fertile Nursing Home who was sitting outside at Labor Day a few years back, and he said, somebody please take me to Rolog. He wanted to go see the tractors. Right? His daughter came by and said, your heart can't take that, Dad, and took him in. And he died 2 weeks later in the bed. Now, if you're going to keel over, why not do it at Rolog, for crying out loud? Go out in style. Nothing wrong with dying with your boots on, like Winston Churchill said, in harness. So I decided, let's go. Let's take Olive to Reno. So I called Northwest Airlines. This was a long time ago. This was 92. And they set everything up, and I got 2 hotel rooms in Reno at her favorite casino because that's where she had gone to college. And we were going to surprise them, and we were leaving on July 8th. And the night before was my class reunion, 10-year class reunion. And so I was at the Legion in Fertile, the American Legion, having cookies and milk. And there came a call, and Aunt Olive had gone uptown, Twin Valley, to get her hair done for the trip. And as she walked out of the salon, she tripped on the transom, fell, and broke her arm. They put her in the ambulance and took her to Fargo, and on the way she went into shock, and they lost her twice and had to revive her. And so I thought, this is pretty serious, so I left the class reunion, which was not all that difficult for me to do. I had won a baldness award, and I wasn't particularly proud of it. And so I went home and called Aunt Olive, and they said, well, we'll connect you. She can talk to you. And I said, whoa. And how are you doing? And I said, well, I'm fine. How are you? And she had perked up, and she said, you go to Reno, I'll be fine. So I went to Reno, and it wasn't until I got home that I found out the rest of the story. The next day, she was fine. Her blood pressure was normal. Her heart rate was normal. Her arm was in a cast. And like they do with Medicare now, they kicked her out. She had to be out of there by noon. Well, she didn't want to call those 3 relatives for a ride that were going to donate her body. That was risky. I was in Reno, her usual chauffeur, so she called a cab for a 60-mile ride from Fargo to Twin Valley. And the cab company said, well, we can do this, but we don't want to send one of our yellow cars. For a little extra, would you be interested in having a limo? And all said, oh, yes. And now I have to back up. At this apartment she was in, it was 8 units, and all of the women were 85. It was all women over 85, and you'd think they would take care of each other and help each other, and they did. But underneath, there was undercurrents of rivalry and jealousy. If one of them got company, they'd drag him up and down the hall so everyone else knew. I got company and you didn't. And so as luck would have it, when that limo pulled into Twin Valley, 3 of the remaining 7 women were on the porch. And they said, who could be coming in a limo? And they saw Aunt Alla's old shoe come down out of the door, and they knew. And Aunt Alla said it was the best $90 I've ever spent in my life. She made the best of everything. She always, her phrase was, well, it'll all work out for the best. Everything works out for the best. When I got home and I heard all this, she said, oh, I'm so glad I broke my arm. I couldn't have made that trip to Reno. I would have died.